Welcome back to Storm Age Exile. It's been a minute, and by a minute, I mean a couple of weeks. We've grown, we've changed, we've evolved, but this
I have, for
campaign,
sure.
it's still the same. It's still the same. Um, we're coming back after a tumultuous first episode. Lots of ground covered, but also not a lot of ground covered. I think we probably stayed in the same quarter mile for that whole 3 hour session. It was pretty beautiful. We just lingered there. It's pretty fun. Pearl, if you would do the honors of recapping our first session, tell us what Joe has been going through.
um, she's been going through emotional turmoil. So basically, in the first session, I started at the scene, or Joe started at the scene of a massacre oh my gosh,
Konari?
Mari. There we go. And she was like, "What's this?" And her traveling companion had walked off in the woods towards the footsteps leaving the massacre. She decided to boldly follow, to find them, to eventually meeting the lone Kunari survivor and her companion at a cabin where a face-off ensued, which was um, hard for her to handle because she's not used to that kind of confrontation, really. She's kind of an upper class, ritzy woman for the most part. She's it's a little wildsy, but not enough for that. So she handled it.
In a
It was
way.
handled in a way. Um, and now I am currently running away from the two gentlemen who I was previously traveling with the Kunari, Cerebas.
Mm, mm. What is Joe's thoughts on Sarah Boss, this woman that she just kind of met?
Um, Joe is intrigued by her for sure. I think that she also feels sad. Um, Saddened that it seems like, from what she understands, Cerebas doesn't have a ton of autonomy or free will, um, in the way that Joe knows it, at least. Um, and she wishes to help Cerebos have that, but Joe is very naive in understanding that that looks different for everyone. And she's also very naive in the ways of what is going on in this area of the world. So she chose to go with Cerebos in that moment, I think.
You think?
And no, she did. She did.
Okay.
She chose to go with Cerebos in that moment. But I think a lot of it is because she is worried about Cerebos and also curious about Cerebos. Um, but somewhat selfishly, for sure.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I don't think I would add too many new details on top of that. I mean, that's definitely what happened for the most part. And as far as speaking on what Joe's feelings are to people, that's for you to decide. I just tell the other parts. Um, with that being said, yes, we ended off the last session with you making the decision that you will be running away with Sarah Boss off into the woods. I believe you guys picked off into the left. And Bront was on the other side of the cabin, unaware of what's kind of going on. And then
I
the
alerted him.
the
Very intelligent.
yeah, Zariel is currently caught in a glyph of holding, as
Oh,
he
get
was
him.
he got by Um, Sarah Boss.
Oh, he certainly did.
Yep, yep. And now you guys are running and living with the consequences. So you guys are currently booking it through these woods. To start us off, can you give me an acrobatics check as you and Cerebos are running through the woods and trying not to bonk your head or trip or fall or anything bad happens to you? Or also maybe maintain a healthy distance if Bront and Zariel may perhaps be following you.
Hmm. Is that dex or strength? Not that it
It's
matters,
Dex.
but um okay, so I got doubles. Um and I got um 17.
With a 17, that's pretty cash money. I will say that with your doubles,
Oh,
you.
do I get to use them?
Um, I will say that there is not an adequate exploration stunt that fits how well you run. But I will say this for the special sauce, you can describe how eloquently uh, this Orlesian woman is running.
Okay. Um so she yells to Bront and then begins running. At first she's definitely like running for her life, not thinking about it very much. But as they get further in the woods, you'll see that like she's like deftly jumping over fallen like trees and dodging out of the way of sharp sticks. Um, you find that she's like alarmingly like alarmingly dexterous. Like you would be very surprised watching this woman. She's like still has like some bits of her skirts that like look proper kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she's like holding them up and running. Yeah, I think it's just surprising.
Some would say her hips don't lie.
Some would say that. I think they would.
Also, could you turn me down on your end? I can kind of hear myself.
Oh my god, yes I can.
So yes, you guys are walking through the woods of Antiva. I believe that's where you are. Let me just double check the map, just so I
I
get
believe
this correct for the purposes of this. Yep, you guys are on the southwest kind of edge to Antiva, and you guys are kind of booking it. Um, it's interesting. You look around, and while you're running, taking your deep breaths, heaving as you are navigating through the woods, you notice the beautiful trees and the new landscape of Antiva itself. Because it's right next to the Amaranthine Ocean, it gets a colder air a lot sooner than other parts of Thetis. Orlais, being a lot more inland, is allowed to retain a little bit more acclimate weather, where Antiva is kind of susceptible to the currents of the Amaranthine Ocean, and therefore it gets a lot of colder winds. You look around and you just get the faintest hints of fall coming through, as a lot of these green leaves are just getting just the slightest blush of yellow. And you guys, like you said, are very well, elegantly dodging through these trees. Your time delivering mail and scurrying through back alleys, especially when you were delivering some certain letters to some certain peoples, has played in
it.
your favor for the getaway portion of your skill set. As you and Sarah Boss are just quietly, in your own way, just swiftly just booking it through these woods. You look over to Sarah Boss, and she's just right next to you, right adjacent to you, keeping in line with you, never taking more than a step ahead of you, and always making sure that she is right with you with wherever you go. And the journey of you guys going through the woods persists on for several minutes. In fact, I would say it's about like 30 minutes of just straight running through these woods, unless you choose to stop and catch your breath. But you guys will keep running with the intent that if Zariel is running, if Bront is chasing after you guys, it would be very difficult. And, by the time that they were to potentially catch up to you, maybe they would have cooled off by that point.
Mhm.
You guys are doing a really good job of keeping your distance, and you don't catch much of anything throughout the woods in terms of creatures. Like, you're not running into deer, you're not running into the rabbits, a wild trash panda, no, nothing of the sort. um, there's no holla, there's no I'm trying to think, there's no nugs, there's nothing like that. As
No, no.
Not yet, not yet. But don't, hey, stay tuned. um, but you guys will continue going through uh, the woods until Sarah Boss will just kind of just stop um,
Oh,
uh, abruptly and just kind of look at you as you trail off, head forward. I would say you do notice this because she was right next to you.
I
And
would stop pretty quickly after she stops for sure,
okay,
I think.
she would look at you very intently, and she would say, Joe, where are we going?
Well, I thought we would make some distance and then um decide where we're going from there.
She looks at you just a little bit more intently, and she would say,
Mhm.
where were you planning on going before you came to the cabin?
Where was I planning on going? Well, that is a good question. Um, I was planning on going where the world called me, kind of. There's a war here, you know that. I figured maybe I could be help um in the war somehow. I'm not quite sure how. I'm not really much of a fighter, but um I delivered the mail before, and I was hoping some kind of job like that again. I could get for um whoever seemed in need, whoever I deemed to be the ones who needed help, or who were hurting.
She looks at you and she's like, do I look like I am I'm hurting?
Well, Sarah Boss, you, I think that you don't look like you can't handle yourself. You definitely look like you can handle yourself. What I mean is that you looked like you were hurting and that you needed help or you needed something. And I couldn't leave you like that. No, I don't think I could.
She'll You can't tell if it's the kind of slight brisk temperature of the early and even fall kind of coming in, or if it's the rod that's on your back. But
Mhm.
you kind of feel like a little, just almost like the faintest shiver, like a little nervousness. Um, I'll say make an empathy check with disadvantage, please.
Oh, shoot. So you want me to roll it's roll three two
Yep,
different times and
yep.
take okay.
Two separate totals.
Oh wow, that is a hot one. That is a good roll. So the next one's gonna be really fucking bad, I'm
Three
sure.
ones, 3 ones. That's what I'm hoping for.
Well, it wasn't three ones, but it was significantly worse. So, congratulations. Empathy, empathy, empathy,
You
empathy,
got good empathy
empathy.
though.
I do, I do. So it's a 10.
Okay. With a 10, um, you definitely can't discern to discern whether it's the rod or the temperature that's giving you this feeling, but
Mm,
you can assume that it's both just for the purposes of better understanding Sarah Boss, as
mm,
she kind of she'll look at you stoically, but um, you can see with a 10 that underneath there is still a level of vulnerability there. It's just
mm,
behind a massive face mask and chest piece.
right.
And she'll say, so when we're out of these woods and when I am healed and I am helped, you will discard of me and move on to the next person that will need help.
Oh, uh, no, that was not what I intended you to take from what I said at all. I apologize, Sarah Boss. That was not. I don't want you to think that you're something to be used and discarded. That's not what I want for you at all. Um, if you would like to stay with me, you certainly can. I I don't know how to best help you, and even if I find that, again, like I'm saying, even if I help you somehow, that does not mean uh, we must part. You can come with me, or you can leave me if you feel you want to. Um, I just felt in that moment the best thing to do would be for both of us to get out of that place. Does that make sense? Is what I'm saying making sense to you? Or am I sounding silly?
Um, she'll reply and she'll say, "Yes, I suppose that that does make sense. I just want a an understanding because um, as of right now, I do sort of need you. Uh, but enough about worrying about me. I think we should just keep running. They might be right on our tail." And she'll brush off what she just said, and she'll kind of walk past you, but walk in a way of like anticipating you to take point at some point.
Hmm. Um, I think if you were watching from the outside, you would see kind of Cerebas walks past Joe, and Joe kind of does like really big, like kind of dumb look on your face, like double blink, like you're not sure what's happening, kind of. Um, because she's unsure of what the right course of action is. She's already not sure if she made the right choice. She feels like she did. Um, but now she's so out of her element, um, that is just a little lost. Not only
Yes,
literally,
you are.
yeah, yeah. And on that note, she's gonna say, Sarah Boss, one thing before we keep running, you're so right, we should. Uh, do you know where we are by any chance?
She will turn back towards you and she's like, "Well, yes, I have a general idea, but if you want to if you want me to mark it on a map, I'm afraid I won't be able to do that with much precision. But, you know, I think what I know is very similar to what you know is we are just north of the Menanta River and we are in this country called Antiva as your old companions were insistent on reminding us of. And we are not too far from some nearby towns, but I'm sure on foot they are quite a bit ways away. As far as faster modes of transportation, I can't necessarily promise much of anything at all, but if we keep walking in the same direction, I'm sure we'll turn up somewhere.
Okay, so you think that this way is good.
Oh yes, I would not. I have some general ideas from my platoon. We did have a knowledge source of certain army routes of Antiva, so I know where to poke and where to not poke. Um, so I will stay. I will keep us clear of any immediate threats, unless that's what you're looking for.
No, 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 no threats would be fine for some time, I think. I just, Sarah Boss, if you want to take charge on where we're going, be my guest, please.
Sarah Boss will look at you quizzically, and she's like, "I'm sorry, I'm sorry, Joe, but it is not my place to take charge. I can certainly give you advice, and you can certainly heed the advice, but it is no place for Sarah Boss to uh, tell you what to do or where to go."
Um, well then, Sarah Boss, I would like you to lead me.
She will nod. Um, she'll ponder this for a second. She, because while although you did issue a command,
Hmm.
um, she definitely understands that you're loopholing this shit. Um,
Hmm.
and but she won't fight it per se. Um,
Okay.
and she will begin a brisk walk now through the rest of the woods. Um, and if you so choose to follow her, I would request that you make a perception check. This will be
Okay.
an auditory check.
All right. Um, that would be a. I got double threes. It perception. Um, 12.
12.
Can
With
I
the
also, and you can say no, but can I also just do another empathy check to see how I feel she felt about me, like loopholing her her rule?
Yeah, you can definitely roll. Yeah, roll for empathy check. You said a 12 for auditory.
Yeah.
Okay, with the 12 in auditory, you notice the rustle of leaves coming through the trees, and the small crunches that are taken with each step. Um,
Mhm.
You still don't really get the sense of animals as you are going through these woods. It's been pretty modest for the most part in terms of your experience after the cabin. It's just been a long run here and no seeming direction despite Cerebos's confidence of where you guys are. It's not like you guys are on a trail or there's an immediate path. You guys are currently navigating through brush and obstacles to the best of your ability and very well.
Hmm.
But it's not apparent that there is a actual path or a actual direction in which you guys are going.
Okay.
And you rolled what for your empathy check?
Oh, sorry. 12 again.
Okay. With a 12, I'll say that Cerebos does not give any sort of feelings or emotions throughout the rod itself.
Hmm.
But what you could perceive from her actual physical demeanor is that she is leading and she is accepting despite the loophole. I'll say with just your general knowledge is that
Hmm.
you, regardless of if she liked it or didn't like it,
Hmm.
you are her current lifeline. So she understands that her feelings in this, if she were to have feelings, because you don't necessarily perceive that, um,
Hmm.
she would not give too much of a fight with her current understanding of your guys' relationship.
Okay.
And she will lead you guys throughout the woods. Um, and
Um,
yeah, go ahead.
oh, I was just gonna say, after a few minutes, there would be something I would ask her, but if something else happens.
I'll say you can definitely ask something in this if it's only just a couple of minutes.
Yeah, I would definitely ask her. I would be like, Sarah Boss, have you been in this area of the woods around here before?
Sarah Boss would look at you and she will say, "No, not necessarily, but um, in the uh, sorry, just looking up some things in the background."
Oh, you're good.
Okay. She will look back at you and she'll say, I have not personally experienced these woods that we are currently in, but the Barasad in my platoon made me and the rest of us aware that we are just at the southern end of the Greendales, which is a sort of a plains part of Antiva, and there's not much here except for some locals and farmers. So, from what we currently understand, this area is not a highly militarized zone. It serves our purposes just fine, unless you have any other concerns.
Uh, I suppose I should rephrase my question. That wasn't necessarily why I asked. I'm just curious. I have not seen any animals since we've started running this way, and that is unusual for the force I've been in. That is more why I was wondering if that was normal for around here.
Oh well, Antiva's animals are similar like other animals. They are skittish, to say the least. Some could say that my presence may play a factor in it. Us running through the woods may play a factor in it. And it just might be our luck. I really can't explain why uh, there aren't any animals at the moment, but um, if animals is what you wish to see, then maybe I can help you with that later.
Uh, Not necessarily. I just was curious because I haven't I'm not familiar with this area. So, um,
She will look at you, look back at you a little confuzzled, and she'll say, "Do you guys have lots of animals in Orlais?"
um, well, I am not really from a foresty area of Orlais. But when I was in the woods in Orlais, I saw lots of different animals. There were nug that I only saw once when I got closer to the mountainy areas, and I saw some hala, and I saw birds, and I had a horse at one point. In the city there were cats. I saw a fox. Yeah, there were lots of animals when I traveled.
Oh, well, maybe we'll get lucky and we'll see something. But until then, uh, I would encourage you to maybe be patient and maybe we'll see something.
That is a good idea. I will keep that in mind.
And she will keep leading. And if there's anything else that you would like to question her on, you may. Otherwise, we can continue on.
Um, It'd probably be after some time that she would speak again. So if anything else is going to happen in the immediate time, then no.
About, I will say, about 45 minutes of walking
Mhm.
will pass throughout the woods until uh, you hear off into the distance the faint rustling sounds
Mhm.
of a river.
Oh,
You
good.
can't see it right now. The woods are still blocking your visage of it, but you definitely know it's upcoming. And uh, as you guys keep walking, the hill will start to slope up ahead down towards the river. Sarah Boss will look at you and she'll say, once we hit the river up ahead, we can follow that up and maybe we will find uh, a local farmer or even a village or something.
Perfect. Can we tell what time of day it is now?
Yep, this right now it's going to be the uh, early to mid afternoon time. I would say
Okay.
if we were to put it in real world clock time, I would say we're dealing with about 4 p.m.
Okay. Cool. Cool. Cool.
Um, and
Um.
so go ahead.
No. 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 So what you're gonna say?
You guys will proceed to walk forward towards the river. And as you get closer, you'll start to see that this river is kind of like any other river. From base off what you know that the Menanter River is
Mhm.
south of where you guys are.
Okay.
So while you can't necessarily say that this is the Menanter River, this could very well be a river, a tributary of sorts that flows into the Menanter River,
Mhm.
but you don't know that with certainty based off of lack of familiarity to the area.
For sure. Um. There's Manassa. Okay. Um. I would tell Sarah Boss that we should maybe take a little break here. We've been walking for some time and get some water, maybe eat something if we have anything.
Yeah. So could you make a perception check?
Yes, I can.
This one will be visual. Not that it makes a difference
Mm,
for the roll, but
Not super good. I got double twos.
Jeez.
Um, 7.
Yeah, with the 7, you look up and down the river, and it's a pretty it's a pretty sweeping kind of river. Not the most deep. It's about like 2 to 3 feet deep for a good chunk. You have to go kind of deep into the center of the river to get true depth, but it has a decent pace to it, a modest pace. It's almost keeping the same pace as your guys' kind of brisk walk.
Hmm.
And uh, you won't notice it, but Sarabas says, "Of course, Joe, we can rest wherever you would like. But if you would like to help maintain distance from those that would potentially follow us, uh, there is a boat up ahead."
Oh,
And you look up the river, and up the shore is seemingly a little abandoned canoe. Just a little guy, modest. Uh, doesn't seem like it would fit too much outside of like 3 people and some equipment, but it
mhm.
definitely could get the job done for the purposes of you and Cerebos.
Oh wow, great eye. Yes, that would be great. Then we can, take a small break. 5 minutes maybe. Uh, and get to rowing. What do you think?
Okay, let's take a break. She will go a little bit up the shore where a dead kind of tree will be resting into the river,
Mm.
but still hanging onto the shore. And she will sit on the tree and just kind of stare down the river in the direction that the little canoe is pointed to. And she will sit and think.
Okay. I will let her do that. Obviously keeping a watchful presence, I guess, on the rod. Because I guess I have it still,
Yep.
which interesting. Um, and I'm gonna like wash my face in the river, just like take a little break, do some breathing, um, relax for the first second in like a day, eat one of my rations maybe.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely take care of yourself. Um, what do you give Sarah Boss any rations?
Absolutely, I give Sarah Boss a ration.
Okay. How does that go?
I just walk up to her and I'm like, here you go.
She will look up at you and she says, "What is this?"
It's a ration. Have you ever had one?
She would look at it and she's like, "I suppose. I think rations in in the Quinari is a little different, but this is fine. This will work. Thank you. Would you like
Of
me to
course.
eat it?"
But, yes. I mean, do you need to eat? I assume you need to eat. Is that rude? I'm sorry. You need to eat, correct?
She's like, "I could eat."
Then yes, you should eat this so that you can keep up your strength.
And she'll nod with affirmation and eat the ration and stare off silently down the river while eating her ration.
Joe will kind of like awkwardly stand there as Sarah Boss continues to look down the river, and she'll be like, "Right, well, few more minutes. I'll leave you to your peaceful thinking."
Yeah. Um, After Cerebos finishes the ration, she will uh, walk down the river a bit towards this boat and
Mhm.
pull it up the river, up towards you, and she'll say, whenever you are ready, we can depart down the river.
Oh, of course. Are you ready?
She nods with affirmation. She says, "As ready as ever. As ready as ever."
All right, then let us go. Um, Before actually, sorry, one moment. Would you like to me to keep holding this? And I'll like reference the rod.
Uh, she will look at the rod and she'll say, "Why, yes, that's not mine."
Oh, well, I mean, it's still I think of it more as yours than I do the as mine, I suppose. Though, if that uh, is more related to you, I guess, then I feel as though I must offer it to you.
She'll look at you inquisitively. And could you make a dexterity check as you try to get into this boat? You're good at running. I
Yeah.
just don't know if you're good at getting into boats.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'm great at running, but you know, oh, I might be really bad at getting into boats actually, it looks like. 10, 10 for getting into the boat.
If it's any consolation, Cerebos rolled a 9 to get in the boat.
Oh
With a
no.
10, you absolutely get into the boat. It's just a canoe.
Okay, good.
While I don't know if Joe has canonically gotten into a boat before, it doesn't seem the most difficult of tasks. With just a little bit of wibble wobble, she can get in. Um,
I got on that one boat.
yep. Cerebos will be sitting at the head of the boat, facing towards you, and you will be
Mhm,
at the back of the boat, facing towards down the river.
mhm.
And this conversation will continue on in the boat. Cerebos will look at you and she'll say, "Why do you feel like that is mine as opposed to yours when it
Well,
is but a tool?"
I see what you mean. However, it is a conduit of sorts for your emotions, so it feels wrong for me to keep it in my possession if you do not wish me to. Can you
She'll look at you with a slight. She'll squint her eyes,
mhm.
and now you'll
May
feel
I
the
flare?
rod. You'll feel the rod, and
Mhm,
the rod will give you the feeling of. It'll be like when you're shopping at Target and you're by
mm.
yourself and you just get the idea that someone's looking at you but you can't prove it.
And then
um
when you see Ryan, yeah,
yeah,
that's all.
you feel her eyes on you, not only in
Okay,
the physical sense like visually because she's staring at you, but also from the rod itself. And she'll look
okay.
at you and she's like, "Joe, I think it's for our benefit that we be honest with each other and we don't play half truths, because you are right. You do feel some of the feelings that I have through that rod, but you are the same woman that used that rod to make me feel some of your feelings earlier today."
Yes, and that is why I have another follow-up question that I was going to ask there. I don't feel every feeling through this rod, correct? It's what you want me to feel, or it's something you're trying to convey. It's not every feeling you have.
She will look at the rod and she'll say, "You're right. The rod really only allows you to feel what is truly necessary, and you and I both decide what is truly necessary, as I don't feel every emotion that you experience at any given moment, correct?
Correct.
So, unless you truly desired to know my emotions at every given moment, I would not be too concerned about what you do and do not feel. For the things that we do communicate are the things that we would consider consequential and significant.
Um, okay. That makes me feel a little better about holding on to it. I If I felt everything you felt, that would feel invasive. Uh, because you deserve to have some private thoughts and feelings.
She would look at you in agreement and she would say, I concur. While you seem nice, I certainly do not want to think of all of the thoughts that you may certainly possess, especially one complicated individual as yourself. As I've heard, the Orlesians like to play this thing called the game, and as the Ben Hasrath have described, it's a very, very, very complicated game, and rarely do you win. And so, I would love to not play that game.
Ah, who is the Van Hasselraths? Because they're very wise.
Cerebos will take some time to consider. Um, she's not necessarily cagey about, sharing this type of information, but she doesn't want to give the worst impression as given
Mhm.
the conditions on which you are meeting her slash her
Yeah.
culture. She will say, the Ben Hasrath is the members of the Quinari that do their best to gather. She'll pause and she'll say, let me back up. In your tongue, Ben Hasrath translates to heart of the many, and
Mm.
they serve a multitude of roles depending on what they are exactly needed for. Some of them are spies, some of them are educators, and some of them are advocates for unity amongst the Quinari. They play a huge role in enforcing Quinari law and typically hold those who would seek to violate said law accountable.
Huh. Well, um, whatever Ben Hasrath told you that our legions like to play the game is very wise. And if they're all like that, they're all very wise. And that was a good thing to remember that they said.
Cerebos will say, thank you. Uh, we try to be educated on the people of Thetis, as it is a important to understand those you wish to seek to share things with, to have an understanding of them so you know what middle ground you could potentially find with them. And as she's saying this, you guys are going down the river and it's it's quaint. It's quaint. It's kind of peaceful. It's kind of like a um it has the energy of a lazy river in a cool upper 50s lower 60s kind of day. It's pleasant. The water is just nice. It's 4.5 feet deep, at least where you guys are. You could in theory jump in the water, although you don't necessarily know what's in the water.
Mm.
And uh, still not necessarily seeing anyone or anything of, I would say, of note per se.
Hmm.
Um, and you guys will uh, continue on down the water, and Sarah Boss will look at you and she'll say, um, Joe, if we are to work together to aid each other for whatever it is that we are doing, I
Hmm.
think we need to better understand what this thing is. And she'll kind of nod in the direction towards the lyrium rod. Um, and she'll say, "If you'll allow me, I can I can give you a better understanding of what this is."
Um, sure. Uh, go ahead.
Do you hand it to her?
Is she asking like for me to hand her the rod?
You have it.
Okay, okay. No, I was just wondering if she's like going to do something through it or if I'm handing it to her. Um, I want to do a just an empathy check to understand. Um,
Are you sure this is an empathy check or an insight check?
hmm, more of an insight check, I suppose. But mm, yeah, insight check.
Okay.
Is that I forget, is that communication?
Mm,
Or is that
actually, I don't even know if there's an insight check. I think I might have been just a fucking liar. Um,
the checks? What is it? Talents? Is that what it is?
I'm looking at all the checks right now.
Oh, not talents. My bad. That's a lie.
Oh, that's
Uh,
initiative. That's not insight.
is it specializations? I don't remember. No,
It's
that's not. It's
focuses.
not
Tests and focuses.
focuses. Oh,
Let's see. Investigation. Yeah, it's communication focus. Investigation,
okay.
interviewing people for information and finding and deciphering clues.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, we could do that. But let's do that.
Okay. Um.
And tell me exactly what you're trying to discern.
Um. I'm just trying to discern, like, essentially intention. Like, I assume that she has the best intentions in mind, and I'm trying to like be as um trusting and everything as possible. And I'm pretty naive, but I'm not so naive. Like,
You're naive, but you're not dumb.
yeah, I would like to make sure that this seems like I'm not going to
Regret.
give her, yeah.
Okay. Tell me what you roll.
I rolled a 13.
No doubles.
No doubles.
With a 13, I'll say that you look at Sarah Boss and she's on the other side of the boat, which means that there's about like 6 feet of distance in between you two. Um,
Okay.
if she really desperately wanted it to get it from you, she could have
Mhm.
potentially taken it while running. She could have, lunged at you while you were trying to hobble into the boat. Um, she, and she, from what you know, asked for permission for a specific reason. She knows that there is a boundary there, and she wouldn't want to disrespect that boundary for
Mhm.
um, for courtesy reasons, but also religious reasons. Um,
Mhm.
from what you can gather with the 13, you don't get the impression that she is nefarious with this request.
Okay. Then I will be like, sure. Here, show me. What was her wording?
Uh, what the rod is.
Uh, please, show me what the rod is, and I will hand it to her, or yeah, hand it to her the best I can.
You'll hand over this golden rod to her that comes up at mid shaft to a to look like akin to a lightning rod uh, with designs mostly of Quinari origin. And as soon as the rod touches her hands, the rod will give the faintest of hums to it as it reaches contact with her, and she will look down at it, kind of holding it, not necessarily swaddling it, but it's
Mhm.
she is holding it intently, with delicate care, as almost it's you. While she referred to it as a tool, she's holding it as if it's like a religious artifact.
Mhm.
And she will not look at you, but she'll begin talking and say, "This tool, as from what I've told you so far, belongs to the Arvarad, and the Arvarad is those who keep me and Sarabas alike uh, in check, um, from those who would seek to take advantage of us or worse. And how it does this is through a, from what you people call it, a lyrium focus inside the rod that connects and reaches out to those with lyrium in them. And through the lyrium within us, it reaches out and attunes itself to, some would call it our spirit, some our soul, some would say the versions of us that exist within what you guys call the fade. Uh, but this is a focal point. A focal point in a very ever expanding web of magic. But magic, as you know, Joe, comes in many ways. It's not just a spell coming out of my hand, and it's not always a nug being pulled out of a top hat. Magic exists inside all of us, but from what the Ben Hasrath have informed me, the dwarves don't possess any forms of magic in the sense. Uh, and this is important because to understand the rod is to understand nature, because everything in nature has the capacity for magic. And at this point, she will hold up the rod in the air with her two hands, um, her armor kind of giving way to her dark, actually not dark, it's about like a mid gray forearms that are
Mhm.
relatively muscular. I mean, she is naturally cut for just the suit of armor that she is forced to wear.
Mhm.
So she naturally just shows off that if she were to be stripped of her armaments, she could probably beat the shit out of most people in a bar fight.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and the rod will go into the air and hum very distinctly. And after about 15 seconds of the humming in the air, you'll could you roll a perception check?
Yes, I can. Just straight perception.
We'll say this is a visual check, but yeah, perception.
Okay. Math. 15.
15. Good roll. With a
Thank
15,
you.
a concern that you had earlier starts to become answered.
Oh, hold on. Not 15, not 15. Wrong math. Bad math. Sorry.
It's
Wrong
a
math.
7? Oh my gosh.
No, no. 13. Wait, 12. Sorry, 12.
Yeah, with a 12, you'll
12.
definitely still see it.
Okay, thank God.
The rod in the air, you'll start to see just right next to the boat is a couple of fish coming up to swim next to the boat. They're swimming, they're paddling, they're surfacing, they're just chilling, hanging out with the boat, and they're kind of hugging it, kind of like how uh, those fishies like to hang out by the bellies of sharks. Um,
Mhm.
they're just hanging out, going along with the lazy river, and as you look downriver, uh, you'll see that you'll see a couple of deer coming down to the shore, getting a sip of water, a couple of hala doing similar things. Um, you'll see a couple of wolves just chilling, looking around and seeing what's going on. Three of them specifically on the right hand side. They're just staring at the rod intently. Um, from the top of the trees, you'll see some uh, robins flying above, circling up ahead, not necessarily in front of the sun, but definitely up ahead in a way that's noticeable. And you realize that this lyrium rod that is meant to control the Cerebos through the Arvarad is also a tool that can be used to uh, connect or at least reach out to other creatures that have lyrium within them. Uh, no matter how minuscule, the it gives it appears as if that this lyrium rod can be used as a beacon of sorts, and nature is answering its call.
Oh.
And after a period of time after the demonstration, Cerebos will hand the rod back to you, and she'll say that she'll say, while I understand that your predisposition is that this tool is one that is to exert will onto others, it is fundamentally a tool. And a tool is whatever you choose to do with it. And so don't necessarily get hung up on what it has done, but think about it as what it can maybe do from here on out. For there's more power in the wielder than what is being wielded.
Okay. Um, I think as like she was holding the rod and all the animals were coming out, I think when the fish first like appeared, you would see like a Joe kind of like excitedly, almost like a child, like look over the edge of the canoe and like maybe put her hand down into the water and get really excited at looking at all the animals come out. And when Cerebos kind of says that again, she comes back to Earth and uh I think maybe for the first time like hears Cerebos instead of just like instead of like understands instead of hears. Sorry. And she'll be like, okay, okay, I will I will look at this differently. I apologize for my lack of understanding and asserting my feelings. on something I don't know very well. That couldn't have felt very good for you either.
Cerebos will look at you and she'll smile and she'll say, Joe, my people have been in this war for over 100 years, and we have been judged and we have been presumed upon and we have been disregarded for those 100 years. So you are certainly not the first, and you will most certainly not be the last. That is why I do not insist on teaching you much about the Quinari, because I fear you are not fully ready to even begin to understand what the Qun truly is and what comes with it. But if we see something meaningful and impactful that is relevant, then maybe I will teach you a lesson in my people, and maybe you can get a better understanding of who I am and who we are. But maybe you would learn better about yourself and your people if you look at it through the lens of the Qun. But that's that is a mountain to climb for maybe another age.
Huh. Um, how old are you, Cerebos? If that's okay to ask in your culture. Some women in my culture are not as not as loving of that question.
Mm. She'll look at you
You don't
intently.
have to answer either. To be clear, you don't have to.
She'll look at you intently and ask if this question bothers your people. Why do you ask?
Cause it bothers some of my people, not all of my people. I think it is somewhat silly that it bothers people, but I would not wish someone who is offended by it to answer either. If that, yep.
She'll look at you, and seeing you stumble over your words, she could tell that this is certainly not a game. Um, and she'll say, well, if I have to say, I am what you would describe as 34 years of age, and I plan to make that hopefully 35.
Joe, when she says 34, Joe kind of leans over the edge of the boat after she's done speaking and splashes some water on her face to try and not let Cerebos see her blush because she realizes that Cerebos is younger than her and is clearly much more wise. Um, she will say, "Oh, you are, we are about the same age. I'm 37, so I'm like a little older than you. Uh,
She
cool.
looks. Sorry, go ahead.
No, no, no. She says cool.
Oh, I thought you said oh. I'm like, wait, what's oh? Um,
No.
Sarah Boss will look at you and she'll say, ah, yes, so we both lived some lives. Um, well, that just means that we have things that we can certainly teach each other. Um, I look forward to learning either about you or lay or how mail works.
Well, I'd say if I can teach anything, it would be um, how mail is supposed to work. Yes.
Hmm.
I,
She'll
I'm not good.
she'll squint and she'll be like, "Have you ever broken a windshield?"
A windshield?
No, it's just Patrick asking that.
Fuck you! Fuck
Okay.
you!
Okay.
Oh, that's so mean.
All right. Yeah.
That's
Sarah Boss did
so
not say that. That's not canon, so we can wipe that from the record. But
mean.
um, you guys will proceed down the river for uh, a couple. I'll say about 3 more hours of just lazy river hanging out. If you choose to decide to nap in the boat, I would say that you most certainly can do so, and Cerebos would technically take a watch. I would also say that since this is an extended period of time after combat, you can definitely take a rest and heal.
I'm
Um,
at full health.
okay, good. Didn't know if that was still the case, but that's good in any case. Uh,
Mhm.
the sun will definitely have dropped below the tree line at this point, and often to on your left hand side over the tree line, you'll see the oranges and the pinks of the sky encroaching over Antiva as you start to see dusk encroach in towards the east. Um, Sarah Boss will look at you and she'll say, uh, "Would you like to maybe park the boat and maybe we make camp?"
Um, I think that is probably for the best if we can't make it all the way to this um farm before the sun completely sets, then we might as well do that now. Yes.
Okay. She will go to. She'll park the boat on the west end, so off towards the left, and will uh, begin to pull the boat onto the shore as she's the head of the boat, and you can hop out as you see fit. And if you would like to give a strength check, you both will begin to do everyone's favorite task, which is carry the boat.
Oh, goody. Goody, a portage. Oh, a really bad roll, but doubles. Um, this is really embarrassing, actually. So I got two twos.
Well,
Um, um, math. Okay, so still a 10. Still a 10.
Sarah Boss got a 9 total, and she will be. You guys will, I'll say, because of how long the day has been and how exerted both your bodies have kind of been from running, uh, kind of fighting, and everything else in between prior. Uh, you guys will struggle for a little bit to carry the boats and get your rhythm.
Mhm.
While this may not have been the first time you've ridden in a boat, this has been your first time carrying the boat.
Oh, for
Um,
sure.
and it's been an interesting process for you trying to find your balance through this all terrain. You guys will walk up the shore and into the woods to find a small clearing in a patch of grass surrounded by some birch trees in this quaint portion of the forest. And if you guys take the time, you guys can set up your bedrolls, some tents, a tent. I don't know what you have on your person, but it most certainly a bedroll would be in order. Um, and if you so choose, we can potentially take a rest here, or if there's any other tasks you would like to take care of, we can certainly do so as well.
I have a bedroll and a blanket. Um, The mask? Oh, yes. Yeah. I would, the only things I would specifically try to do, I'm not gonna make like a big thing of it this evening, but I would try to like put the boat. No, 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 I wouldn't. No, I don't think I try to do anything. I think I'm very tired. A sleepy girl. Um, I of course tell Servas that we both can like take a watch, um, at some point, uh, so that we both have time to sleep. Um, and I would also like to thank her for bringing out the animals with her magic, or connecting with the animals with her magic.
She will nod towards you and she'll say, "There's no problem. I think it's best that we have a better understanding of not only who we are, but also what we're dealing with. And that way we can be more comfortable with each other."
Yes, I agree.
Um, and with that, would you guys like to take a rest, a long rest?
Yes, I think we would.
Okay. Who would like to take watch first? Would you like to take watch first or second, Pearl?
I'll go first. I feel like I want Sarah Boss to get some rest.
Okay. You will take your watch first. Can you make a perception check? Two perception checks and call out which one's going to be the auditory one and which one's going to be the hearing one.
Okay,
Or
before I
the seeing
roll
one, I should say.
the scene, sorry.
You have to make two checks. One's auditory and one is seeing.
Okay, so this first one's gonna be auditory. Ooh, two fives. Um, two fives. So a and a four. So very good. 15. So that's auditory. And
15.
then next one is going to be visual. Still very good. Um, 13.
13. Cool. With a 13, you don't see anything of note as you. Did you guys make a fire?
Um, if we did, we would have put it out. Well, I'd leave like the embers for being awake on watch, but not like a full fire.
Okay. All right. Now mute up while you chew. Um,
Sorry.
that was okay. With a 13, I would say that you definitely, through the embers, you don't necessarily see anything of consequence. It's been largely pretty relaxed. Um, it's been kind of a visually understimulating evening for you as Sarah Boss is sound asleep. Um, she sleeps with some of her armor off of her, but the neck brace with the chains would still be on her, and she sleeps on her back, facing up, and she's kind of out like a light for the most part. This day has been draining emotionally and physically to an extent.
Mhm.
Auditorily wise, you do hear some noises, the noises of nature, um, some birds chirping. You definitely catch the river still rustling in the background, uh, providing almost the most perfect ambient noise
Oh,
that you that would like to have. Perfect white noise machine. And you hear some crunching of leaves off into the
oh
distance.
no.
Um, you can't necessarily place the source,
Right.
but you do hear the soft crunches of leaves. Do you choose
Okay.
to investigate the crunches of leaves, or do you choose to stay at camp?
I choose to stay at camp. I definitely make note of it and where I think it came from, like which area
Okay.
or like what direction.
Okay.
Um, but I don't go and leave the camp. Um, I think that that would not be good. Um, yeah.
Okay. Then with that, nothing else seemingly happens for the remainder of your watch. At um, the early portion of the morning, Sarah Boss will wake up and she'll look at you and she'll say, I can take my watch now if you are ready to rest, Joe.
No, yeah, that would be good. Um, I heard some suspicious rustling from that direction. If I would just keep on the lookout for anything over there.
And she'll nod and she'll be like, it could it could be a overly excited nug for all we know. Who knows?
That's true. Even a nug no, you know how they say. And she'll like pass the fuck out.
Joe, you'll pass out and you'll have a distinctly pleasant rest as
Oh,
you just have dreams of boat rides and pleasant the pleasantries um, that you come to know on this past day. Not the bad parts, but we'll say the enjoyable parts.
the good
Being in
parts.
nature with animals and all the fun stuff. Um,
Yes.
you guys do very, very well. Uh, and I'll say that in your dreams, you definitely. Cerebos is in one of them distinctly.
Mm,
And the one that Cerebos is in is a dream that similarly takes place in the forest. Uh, and you guys are still running. Um, and you look behind and you see a Quinari figure chasing after you two. You don't
ooh,
know who the Quinari figure is, and you couldn't even hope to begin to understand who this Quinari figure is because you've only met one. So you just
yeah.
know that this is a second Quinari, and you get the understanding that this Quinari is of importance, just based off of the regalia that is on them, and the fact that they are really uh, intent on catching you guys. With the uh, Quinari is a actually I'm gonna make you roll a historical lore check.
Uh-oh. Okay. Not cultural lore.
No, historical.
Oh. Okay. 9 total.
Yeah, with a 9 total, you know that the individual chasing you get is familiar, but you can't place where you know them from. All you
Mm,
know is that they are wearing steel clad, their steel plate armor.
mhm.
They are helmeted the fuck up, and they are dead set trying to catch you specifically.
Uh-oh.
Um, they have a shield on their back. Uh, if it had any insignia on it of anything that you would remember. You don't see that right now. Um, but nonetheless, the Quinari and the Templar are chasing after both of you,
Templar.
and you guys are, pardon me, I burped a little bit. You
Oh,
guys are being
bless you.
chased after, and then you wake up.
Ugh, bad dreams.
At which
Yeah, I wake
point,
up.
Sarabas will look down at you as she's staring at now a pile of ash. Um,
Mhm.
she'll look over at you and she's like, "Ah, so you're awake now. Okay. Well, I did not catch anything from my watch. I took a look over to where you thought you heard a noise, and I couldn't make out any distinct footprints or tracks of any sorts, but, you know, I don't doubt that you heard what you heard, but we're safe for now, so I think that's what counts."
Whew, that is good news. We were less safe in my dream, so um, I'll take it. I'll take it. Shall we eat a little bit, freshen up, and then get on the river again?
Let's let's do so. She will take one of your rations, as you will
Mhm.
have one of your rations. And remind me, Pro, what are you at for in rations at this point? You're down
I had a
4.
week's worth. Uh, so that would be -4 if I gave her some yesterday and today.
Yep. So
So is a
you're
week's
less than
worth
half.
14?
Probably less than half.
Yeah. Is a week's worth 7 or is it 14?
I would assume that a ration counts for meals for the day.
Okay. So then I have 3 left.
Yep.
Okay.
So, unless you guys develop a meal plan together, uh,
Yeah.
something will have to be figured out here in the short term future. But until
Yeah.
then, you guys are eating. You
Mhm.
guys did stomp out your fire, and you restored the campsite to what it was, largely for the most part.
Mhm.
You will pack up your belongings and venture off into the boat, uh, and you guys will proceed on forward.
Sweet.
At this
Good.
point, you guys will sit in the boat for about 30 minutes, and Sarah Boss will look at you and say, "Joe, tell me something about yourself that you think is fun."
That I think is fun. Okay. Um,
Do Orlesians have
I
fun?
well, yes, we have fun. It's just sometimes not everyone else's idea of fun. Um, we what you've heard about our legions is that we play something called the game, and the game is not necessarily a game as much as it is um being twats to each other and fooling each other in ridiculous ways so that we come out more socially advantageous. So that is not necessarily fun. We do play real games too, though. I worked for the post office, and at the post office, I had a company, what's it called? A company like party when the holidays came around, and I won the Three Dragon Ante tournament. I am great at card games and other dice type games.
So you're good at playing the game and other games.
I would say that I'm adequate at playing the game. I have been foiled a few too many times as of late to say I'm good. I think my ranking has somewhat fallen.
She'll look at you and she'll say, "Could you teach me one of these games sometimes?"
Oh, yes, absolutely. I don't have many fun things on me, unfortunately, but once we get to a small bit of civilization, I'm sure it will be not difficult at all to find at least a deck of cards.
Yes, I would very much like to do so. Um, I haven't had what we would call Thetis's version of fun too often.
Mhm.
Definitely not Orlesian fun, but sorry, what'd you say, Pearl?
No, I laughed.
Oh, okay, okay. Um, so I'm kind of uneducated in terms of fun, but you know what Sarah Boss did for fun was we were really good at learning to listen. Uh,
Uh,
we
uh,
weren't really allowed to practice too much magic, just very, very, very rudimentary and simple forms of magic, and it was it was helpful. It was helpful, but we don't really have fun in the way that even your guys' mages do.
ugh, our mages mostly, well, maybe they have fun. I don't know. I mostly feel bad for our mages, and maybe I partially just push that on you, knowing that you also specialize in magic. Our mages are mostly confined to things called circles for most of their lives, and many of them are taken away from their families and their lives, and it doesn't seem right to me that they have no choice. Well, I guess some of them choose. I should be clear. Some of them choose, but other of them don't.
Sarah Boss will look at you inquisitively, and she's like, You're not a mage by any sort of means, right, Joe?
No, no, I cannot do any sort of magic, at least that I know of.
You you prefer what is your preferred weapon of choice if you were to spar or anything like that?
Oh gosh. Well, I have a sword. I like my sword. It's very fun. Throwing spears has been very fun for me to learn how to do. I would say right now I would pick that.
She will look at um, the sword that you have equipped as well as one of the javelins that you have. Right? It's a javelin or is it a spear? It's a javelin.
It's a throwing spear.
It's a throwing spear. Okay, my bad. Um, with the and she'll look at the throwing spear and she's like, Joe, have you given much thought to what you would do, how you would live your life potentially differently if you knew that at any moment your strong, lean muscles in your arms were to, for whatever reason, inexplicable or not, were to just, some would say magically, just constrict and become super tense, and your vessels, your blood vessels in your arms, and she'll start looking at her own forearms right now,
Mhm.
and she'll say, your blood vessels are just throbbing with adrenaline going through your veins, and you feel all of the emotions you could potentially feel at once, and you can't handle the stimulation, and you black out, and by the time you wake up, you're standing upon a young child who is black and purple because you choked them out.
No, uh,
How would
no,
you
I
live your life differently, if at all? It may never happen. It more than likely will probably never happen. But the chance of it happening will always persist.
well, how would I live my life? Well, Cerebos, I don't think that there's necessarily still a zero chance that that happens. Um, Maybe not exactly how you describe it, but I don't know that I would change anything. I think that most, and I forgive me, I believe you are trying to uh, use this as an analogy for something, but I think in the most literal sense, um, a lapse of judgment like that when you're consumed by emotion can happen to anyone, unfortunately. Um, no matter how slight the chances. So I don't know if I think it's I don't know if I think it would be right to say I would do anything differently.
Yes, and that is the gap. That is what is just inexplicable from those who can manipulate the lyrium in their bodies and those who cannot, because yes, those emotions that consumed you, those consume everyone. But unfortunately, in my description and what mages go through, the emotions felt are the emotions felt before the consumption. And what is actually consuming you is a demon. And that demon rarely stops at one child. And unfortunately, precautions have to be taken for the betterment of others, for at the expense of a few. And I don't know if that makes sense to you, of the idea of being in fear of yourself, being in fear of your own potential, and forfeiting that potential to a creature, an entity that you've never met, that doesn't want what's best for you or the best for others around us. Just simply raw, callous selfishness possessing a body that can simply annihilate a house with a simple flick, and she'll hold her hand out, and just the smallest flame will be floating above her hand.
Mm-hmm.
And before the flame can even linger, she crushes the flame in her own hand
Mm-hmm.
and clenches her fist intensely, and then punches the water to douse her hand before pulling back up and retracting. And she says, I know your sentiment is of those that we need to maintain a bit more sympathy. Um, and at times, I actually really do share similar sentiments, but I cannot ignore the very nature of which my condition is, and that the cost of my blessing comes with some personal sacrifices. And that is something that you have yet to see, but if you were to
Sarah
see, you would see that the Quinari, we don't, we don't, we aren't afflicted or affected by demons all too often.
if the Canari have a way of, if this rod is part of the way of making it so mages such as yourself or magic, you are Cerebots. Cerebots such as yourself do not come in contact with demons as mages and or lay do. That is great, and something that perhaps my people should look to the Kunari for guidance on. That being said, there are issues I take with not necessarily like you say um sympathy for them is what I was saying. What am I trying to say? It's that perhaps mages should be controlled in some way or have to give up something for these gifts to make sure that they don't come in contact with these demons, as you say. What I don't think is okay is how we demonize them, like the mages themselves, when they haven't even had contact with these demons. You can give up things and still be treated with kindness, and that is something that we don't do, and that is what I have issue with.
Cerebos will ponder this, and she'll say, I assume you're speaking on behalf of your people's Arvarads, which I believe you refer to as Templars, correct?
Yes.
While I have not met a Templar for myself, um, I would say that the Templars' jobs are arguably harder as they do not have the benefits of this rod, and that mages in your circles typically act on the extra freedom that they've been given for nefarious purposes. And I can't speak on what those purposes may be, but I also can't claim that Templars are unjust. All I know is that the Arvarad from where we come from, they are effective.
Hmm. Do you feel as though they could be better?
What is better?
Do you feel as though they are effective and adequate, or do you feel like they are effective and they could be better?
To understand
Because,
the
like,
Arvarad, go ahead.
let me try and explain this a little better. I don't think my words are quite doing it. Um, in combat, I fight with a sword. This sword pierces the flesh of a person and they suffer a wound. I can do this as well with a sharp stick or a little knife, but the sword is better than that. But the other two serve the same purpose. I'm curious if you think the Arvarad do a get the job done and you respect that, or if they get the job done and do it well.
The Arvarad fundamentally are there for Cerebos and make sure that Cerebos are fulfilling their role to their best of their ability. A bad Arvarad yields a Cerebos that is incompetent or insufficient. And so, what I will say to your question is the Arvarad, much like Quinari, much like Orlesians, are people at the end of the day, and all can strive for perfection, but will almost always just miss the mark. As per their ability to keep Cerebos in line, they are more than competent at that, and they are more than competent at facilitating the Cerebos's needs for the Cune.
Mm,
And as that is the Arvarad's designated role, they do that very well.
well, I'm glad that that works well or has worked well for you, Sir Boss. I don't feel as though our mages in Orlais feel the same about the system that we have in place. Um, or that our Templars feel the same either. I think there's a lot of changes within the system that could be made on either side to make things better.
She will ponder this and she'll say, hmm, I suppose I'll have to see it for myself, but until then, let's focus on the river at hand.
Hmm.
And
I,
while you guys were lazy rivering before, she will now
mm,
pick up a paddle and start oot scooting down the river. And you'll see through even just the quaintness of her being a mage, like her heaves into the water are still substantial. As a
Mhm.
as a woman and Quinari, she definitely seems she's built different. You've given that impression. Like you can implicitly understand that while Quinari are just genetically predisposed to be stronger individuals, um,
Mhm.
just in terms of stature and muscle mass, that Cerebos also have to be almost as strong, if not more strong, because they have to function with this armor on,
Yeah.
despite not wielding a physical weapon on them. And so she will be paddling and heaving through the water, and you'll see just the muscle flexes just go off. Um, you guys will be paddling for some time, and there will be a period of silence between you two as
Mhm.
you guys go forward. And as you go up ahead, you'll see. Actually, you won't see. Can you make a perception check for me? A visual
Yeah,
one.
I can. Ooh, double fours. Just straight perception.
Yeah, visual.
10.
10. Okay. With a 10, I'll say that up ahead, you'll see um, the river fork into two. And off to the left hand side, you'll see the river just going down along its very merry way. And off to the right, into the distance, you will see some canopies and
Ooh.
tents. And I'll say that's the most apparent thing that you can see from this far away, as you are about a half mile out. You're not a half mile out from the fork. The fork is a little bit sooner than that, but
Mm.
the actual canopies themselves are about a half mile away.
Cerebos, do you see those canopies?
Sarah Boss will look up ahead and she'll say, "Yes, I see them. Unsure who or what they are associated with. I would say that under any circumstances, we should probably exercise a level of caution as I am who I am,
Mhm.
and as of right now, you are who you are. So meeting our meeting our associated peoples may not be in our best interest at this point, but that's not to say that these are our associated peoples."
What would you say to getting out of the canoe here a little downriver from where these canopies are, and um we walk a bit closer, see if they seem friendly, and if not, we just scoot on back.
She'll nod and she'll say, "This plan is satisfactory for my liking."
All right. Good.
All right. So describe to me about how far away you want to pull up to this. Do you want to park at the fork?
I think at the fork would be good, and like take the canoe if there's like some trees or bushes or something, kind of like station that behind there so that people coming up to the fork, if anyone else happens to be on the river, don't like just see it.
Okay. You can definitely do that. Can you roll a? I feel like this might be a cunning check. Can you make a? Jeez, it's not even. in there. Can you make a stealth check to see how well you hide the boat?
Ooh, is that Dex or Cunning?
Dex.
Double fours. 14.
14. You definitely uh, hide the boat very well. They.
Ooh.
It's fucking. Is there even a boat there? I don't know. But
No one
they
will
are.
ever know. No one will ever know.
Um, and so you guys proceed forward. Is that. And that's accurate. So as you guys walk forward, you'll get about. We'll say. We'll say 1,000 feet away from uh, the canopies and the tents that you see, and so that's just under a quarter mile away. And with this much closer, I'll actually have you roll perception visually with advantage,
Ooh.
and as Cerebos is going to be scouting out with you.
Uh, that's silly. Both are 11.
Okay, with an 11, you will see a group of individuals walking around a decently sized encampment that is uh, pretty rudimentary in design and technology. Um, they seem to be simple folk working in a very nimble, like, commune. And if you could make a cultural lore check.
Aha! Yes, I can. Oops, and I can roll. Oh, that's not terrible. 14.
With a 14, you will look off into the distance and you'll see the group of individuals, while not distinct in their appearance from this distance, but with
Mhm.
the encampment and its nature, the canopy and the tents, you'll come to recognize this based off of your what you've been taught to be the Dalish elves.
S- oh my gosh.
And that is where we'll wrap today's session.
Okay, fine. Do I say today was the 19th or the 20th? Because of the time. I'll say it's the 19th. Daily shelves. Oh my gosh. So excited.
All right, now for the post game interview. Pearl,
Oh my.
how did you feel about this session? What did you like? What did you not like? What were you sad about? What were you happy about? What made you angry? What made you somber? Give me.
Um, I liked. Oh, ow. Um, it was very nice to just have time to talk to Sarah Boss about her and her culture and everything. Um, because Joe is just she doesn't know about
She's new to
any of
this.
that really. She's new to it. And very, very her. Um, I liked having the longer conversations. I really like that. I loved having that moment where Sarah Voss connected with all the animals in the nearby area. That was really, really sweet and nice and good. Kind of a magical moment. I could see that very well in my head. Um, I mean, yeah, it was very like we basically just had a like conversation for a long time, and that was nice.
Yeah, good. Well,
Yeah.
that was feels weird to even like give my takes because it's like duh, because I fucking made it. So I just feel like Captain Obvious to anything I say, but I will say that it was a deliberate thing to give you a session dedicated to just foundational relationship building because I know that you kind of wanted that with Zariel and Bront, but
Mhm.
circumstances did not facilitate that too much. I mean, part of it is kind of imposed by your decisions, but also another component was that literally um, two Sylvans attacked you guys um,
That's
and
true.
kind of got in the way of what you guys were doing. And um, so I really wanted to give an opportunity to just talk things out, have
Mhm.
a I wanted it to be a bit of a vibe because we started episode one on a kind of a strong note,
Yeah.
and I I don't want to say this was a palate cleanser, but I think we needed the collective us needed something that was a bit more palatable, simple, and kind of straightforward. Um, I wanted a little bit of world building, but mostly relationship building, and that's why that's why I took this approach with this episode. I didn't want to jump into. I did actually have action planned, but I think due to the nature of the recording being 12:30 at night now, and the fact that we were just all getting along, having a good time. I'm like, you know what? The two Sylvans coming back, pissed off, looking for revenge, running down the river, chasing you guys. Maybe we should take that out. We'll save that for a different time.
I was gonna say the whole time I was like waiting for it. I was waiting for the other shoe to drop. And so I was like, in every conversation, I was like, what is the trigger word that he's waiting for him to fuck some shit up for
Yeah,
me?
yeah,
So that it was fun having that not happen also and having my own expectations subverted. Um, yeah, I liked that. And
yeah,
yeah, I was happy about all the conversation me and Sarah Boss had to have, especially that last port or got to have, especially that last portion because kind of after like the sleep and everything, Joe um woke up like with more of a dialogue mindset and not a mindset of like what am I doing? What's going on? Blah 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 blah. Placate, but also make decisions, but also what's going on. So that was fun to uh kind of actually have like a back and forth with Sarah Boss about our maybe not beliefs. Well, her beliefs. I don't know if Joe would use the word belief for ideal is more of a the word I would use for her.
yeah. I think I wanted to emphasize breaking the tension in some regards because you just saved this woman's life. She like looks up to you in an earnest way, despite
Mm,
that her life wasn't technically at risk in the traditional sense. It was from a place of idealism um, and being loyal to it. And granted, her life was technically almost threatened with Zariel and Bront showing up, but you also assisted with that, so you kind of saved her life twice. So she's like kind of captivated, enraptured by you in that sense, uh, but still a woman of discipline and kind of couth as herself doesn't necessarily show that, but she certainly wants to uh, build. something of some sort with you, considering her self actualized dependency on you.
Hmm.
Um, and so figuring out a way to do that was kind of fun and interesting. I think it was, you drop some pretty key hints. I mean, they're cultural gaps mostly, but they're key hints that you are somewhat disapproving of the Cune's ideals, despite you not understanding that it's fully the Cune's ideals. Um, so while on a meta level, I think you know what you're doing, but Joe doesn't necessarily know what
Oh
she's
yeah,
doing,
yeah,
and in that way, it's fun to play around with that and have just kind of get the ball rolling on some of these kind of, I don't want to say diametrically uh, um, opposed viewpoints, but certainly uh, viewpoints that clash in a interesting way.
yeah. Because it's even more interesting because Sarah Boss is like a mage. Um,
I know.
I was like,
This
ah,
conversation goes differently if you talk to a Templar.
yeah, it does. It really, really does. And that's it's crazy because if she talks to a Templar about it, does she just end up yelling at them? Like what happens?
She
It's
shuts
just
him
like what
down.
we were. Yeah, it's like what we were talking about earlier today with how conflict works, just in general.
Yeah.
Um, Conflict with people you have different like fundamental opinions with
Yep.
as well.
Yep. It's always the best form of argument. The the argument where uh, like technically they agree with you, but because of their belief system imposed on them, or how they perceive it, not necessarily imposed on them, but upheld by them,
Mhm.
how they may technically agree with you, but no, it's that's not how this works. That's not how this is. So I definitely wanted to give the impression. I wanted to give you. I wanted to see how, because we actually spoke about this when we actually spoke about Baldur's Gate 3, especially with Lae'zel, and the idea of um, I forgot what the actual specific like word that we were.
Autonomy and like
Yeah, we were talking
um
about autonomy. That's what we were talking about.
mhm,
I wanted to make you role play a situation in which your perception of what constitutes a victim
mhm,
is that person, except they don't remotely perceive themselves as a victim.
yeah.
And
Mhm,
how do you either make them aware of that? Do you try to talk them into that? Do you let them be? How do you handle that? So I kind of wanted to toss that in your lap, and not in a conversational sense, as in like hypothetical or speculative, but in the role playing sense of like, no, you are that person, and I'm
yeah.
interested to see how you feel talking to that person.
Yeah, and I'm trying to decide. I have to like
Well, we're not role
remember
playing right now.
everything.
You don't have to decide anything.
No, 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 I know, but like I have to remember everything that like I said as Joe in the session so that I can remember how she thinks versus how Pearl thinks of the situation. Um, so I might have to re-listen to it before we play again. That's always the thing, like when we have like in games like this where you have a really deep, long conversation with another character, and then it's like, oh, the fuck did I say? Like now I have to remember what I said my thoughts were on this, and I was so lost in the sauce that I barely remember what exactly I said. Um, so I have to remember what exactly I said and see how it differs from Pearl's thoughts because I think like I don't know how it's. I would not have answered those questions the same way as me, but I also don't think they were like super different. Maybe so. I have to re-listen and see what I said exactly.
Yeah, I think you definitely put Pearl puts a lot more oomph into those discussions when it's Pearl. I think Joe
Oh
took a respectful, I don't understand your culture, but I respect your opinion kind of take.
mhm.
You're you're kind of trying to draw the parallels in your head because you know that Cerebos knows more about your people than you understand her people, um,
Yeah.
and that's by uh, design. So while you are currently drawing up parallels, uh, Sarah Boss has all the parallels already sketched out, mapped out. She knows the analogies because, you know, her people has studied your people because guess what? We've been at war for like 100 plus years, so we just know shit about y'all. And that's
Yeah.
not to say that people don't know about the Quinari because plenty of people know about the Quinari. But an Orlesian male woman, not really.
Nah. Nah. That would be like if for some reason it was really popular in the tabloids, she would read up on them, you know.
Yeah, yeah. But good. Is there anything else you want to talk about in this episode, or anything else you want to shout out, or anything like that? Things you're looking forward to in the next episode or in the next couple episodes? I know I have some things to look forward to, things that I did not utilize in this episode for the purposes of maintaining the
Oh, so the
vibes. Well,
Sylvan are coming back. Uh-huh.
yep, the Sylvans, they are part of a band, and they're a
Oh,
traveling band. And the next stop
no
is
fun.
going to be the Dalish Elves encampment, and they're going to play a live musical performance. Um, and it's going to have a lot of wood instruments. And um, if they see you, it's on site.
Oh, good. I'm really excited to talk to the Daily Shelves, hopefully. The last thing I was going to do before the session was over was going to be to ask Sarah Boss, like, if she has any relationship with any Daily Shelves, if her, like, clan has any, like, Daily Shelf, like, contacts or anything. Because she doesn't know how that works because she knows the Dale Shelves keep to themselves. Um, but like sometimes they have people they talk to. So she wants to know. Um, she really doesn't understand this area very much either. She's not quite sure if Sarah Boss is like from here. Like
Yeah.
she like is really confused on if Sarah Boss is like where she comes from, which is like sounds like weirdly racist when I say it, I feel like, but like it's not what I mean. I can't explain it.
It's okay.
Ah,
You're a fucking racist. And you like
she's
charcuteries
kind
of
of.
Quinari.
She's like, she's not even like purposely racist. It's
No,
just,
she's just,
yeah,
yeah, implicitly racist.
implicit. Yeah, implicit.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I gave you a 2 hour session that was basically a fucking boat ride, so I would say you did have plenty of opportunity to ask, but, you know, write down these questions and same for next time.
Oh yeah, no, for sure, for sure. She'll have more questions. She was, didn't feel like, yeah.
I actually thought that you were gonna ask that right after you asked, like, what's your age? I was like,
I
okay, so
was going to.
we're gonna get the basic questions out the way,
That
and
was one of the things I was going to ask, but then the conversation, I don't know, just felt like it went somewhere else, so I didn't.
yeah, I'm like, okay, so we're gonna ask like, what's our favorite color? You know, all that. I was getting ready, but it's okay. It's okay. Uh, I'm glad we tackled some of the deep things because your guys' relationship already started out on the deep end. So
That's true.
it makes sense that we would actually save the small talk for probably later.
Yeah. Like I only thought about asking her age in that moment because what exactly did she say? Oh yeah, her like people have been fighting ours for hundreds of years or whatever she said. And I was like, shit. Cerebral's like 100 years old. I don't remember how long Kunari lived.
Yeah, no, 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 no. Quinari, they're chilling. They have pretty typical lifespans. Pretty
Yeah, I was
typical
like, I can't
lifespans.
remember
I
if they
think
have
it's
humanoid
only
life
really
form.
elves that get to fucking pull in the long hauls.
Well, dwarves also, so that's why I was like, ah, shit. I don't remember.
I don't know if that's true for dwarves.
Maybe not in Dragon Age,
Not
but
in
in like,
Dragon Age. How long do I would like to think that my boy Ogren's still alive.
oh yeah, true. My king. Let's see.
Dwarves live. Oh, it's talking about fucking Pillars of Eternity on the Dragon Age wiki. What the fuck? Yeah, we don't exactly know. I hope they confirm that.
That's fucked
Fix your
up.
lore, Dragon Age. Hang on. How long do Dragon Age elves live? I feel like I'm pretty spot on that one, but I could be wrong. Elves. Okay, so they live to be a couple decades older, and it typically occurs with the Dalish elves.
What? The elves live to be a couple of decades older?
Yeah, Dalish elves
Oh, okay.
more often
That
than
makes
not.
sense.
Um, but yeah, Quinari are pretty similar demons in that respect. Man, yeah, I'm excited to talk to you more about the Quinari. Like, I'm excited about like future shit. So that
Yeah,
way
I
you
think
can
the
get your
Maori
mind
are so cool.
get your mind
They're
blown.
so fucking cool.
Yeah,
What?
no, there's so much cool lore to visit in the future. Very excited, very excited. I got to figure out how I'm gonna drip feed some of this lore because I just kind of introduce and talk about the lore as it comes, like the Ben Hasrath. I didn't even really have the Ben Hasrath planned to lore drop on you, but it came up in the conversation contextually, and I'm like, yeah, Ben Hasrath seems relevant to name drop at this point and give the lore drop to. Which I'll actually give you the description for the Ben Hasrath right now, so then you can just key that into your notes however you see fit.
I was looking up Kunari age, and I'm just like looking at the search results, and one of them that just came up is uh uh Theodosian slurs. Wow. There's a whole fucking page of them.
God bless. I bet most of them are Ogren. They're just quotes.
What does the Ogren mean? No, it has slurs for humans, dog lord. That's pretty funny. Um, Holler Rider, Knife Ear, Rabbit, Dwarves, Deep Lord, Kunari, Oxman.
All right, bro, stop looking at the lore.
Sorry, I'm sorry. I can't look at any Dragon Age things. Because
Yep,
I have to
yep,
keep myself here. I can't remember any more things.
yep. Celibacy, it's important.
Hmm.
So, yeah, this was a good sesh, but if we don't have anything else we want to add, we can wrap things up here. And until next time on Storm Age Exile.
hmm